Welcome back, everybody, to Unpopular Reviews Top 5 Special Edition as we continue our WrestleMania countdown from the show of shows, the granddaddy of them all, giving you our top 5 WrestleManias through the decades, and we are now finishing it off tonight as this is a big, heavy WrestleMania week. Welcome to Unpopular Review. I am one of your hosts this evening, Mike Knox. I am joined by the Z is Silent from the SmackDown Review Show. You already know what it is. Welcome to the Usos Penitentiary. And we are here today as the executive consultant cannot be here. I've been here through all of them, through the top 5, so I'm here tonight as well. Guys, listen, a lot of things have taken place this week. We know what's going to shape the be, as they call it every single year, the biggest WrestleMania of all time. So let's talk about how this thing all began. WrestleMania 1 through 9. Go back, please, and make sure you follow and watch our other top 5s that we have viewed and we have aired over the past few weeks here on Thursday nights. Tonight, we're coming to you on this Tuesday evening before our NXT show kicks off this evening with Bad Guy Jack and the Wrestling Doll herself as we go down this road to WrestleMania. Again, Z, so far, when you look at the first 9 years of WrestleMania, is it safe to say without these WrestleManias, we wouldn't be at WrestleMania 40 coming up this Saturday and Sunday, now a 2-night event?
Yeah, because honestly, you know what? Let's keep it real. They still didn't know what the hell they was doing at WrestleMania yet. 1 through 9, they knew they had something, but they still didn't know what it was. But it actually turned into the formula that we see year after year, and it's basically it's over the top. It's year-long storytelling coming to a conclusion. It's celebrities coming from near and far. It's the celebration of the city that they're in, and that formula has worked. So it's very different from the formula of, one of the worst formulas that have ever worked in professional wrestling is the Attitude Era formula of the go home shows, of when somebody would end the show before the show got off. Whoever got they get back before the show got off, that's how you knew the person was going to win at the pay-per-view on Sunday. I'm glad we broke away from that. But the formula for WrestleMania, they changed it a little bit, but for the most part, they've kept it steady, and I think it's been a good formula. But for the first 1 through 9, I'm gonna say maybe 10 a little bit. 10, I think they kind of got a good feeling for the flow of how Mania is supposed to go. But for the most part, most of these Manias from 1 through 9 definitely all over the place as far as match placement goes. Wait, I can't hear you. Are you muted?
This is the era that I would disagree with you on that, but what else is new, right? I do think you're accurate in a sense of they didn't know what they did with WrestleMania 1. They had no idea what it could be and what it would turn out to. I think by the time they got to 2, and they did it at 3 different locations between the Rosemont Horizon, the Los Angeles Coliseum, and those kind of things, he had an idea, every year I'm going to do this because he made so much money in year 1. The celebrities came out in year 1. The pop culture people came out in year 1. And from there, it just continued to be that mountaintop to still be built upon. So let's go ahead and just kick it off. If you don't mind, I'll start off with WrestleMania, my one here out of WrestleMania 1 through 9. And for me, it's simple. It's WrestleMania 8. I just thought this card. Now, my other picks, just to give a little foresight into what's going to happen, they're not really the greatest cards that were put together. They're more led by the moments, the matches, and we all know when you listen to the Mike Knox Show, hashtag wrestling is storyline. But this was, to me, the best top to bottom card in WrestleMania 1 through 9. I mean, you see it right here. You got Hulk Hogan taking on Sid Vicious. It was supposed to be the passing of the torch, if you will, so to speak. Macho Man versus Ric Flair. Wow. You got Roddy Piper. Hogan. Yeah, I know what I said. Roddy Piper versus Bret the Hitman Hart. Yeah. DiBiase and IRS taking on the National Disasters. This card to me was just great. Jake the Snake getting that ass whipped by The Undertaker, the beginning truly, really of the streak, if you will. So for me, my number 5 right here, right now, it is WrestleMania 8. The Z is silent. On you.
Look at that. the alpha omega. We are the mega powers. If you would like to recall that that's us. So we're going to agree on number 5. I think that Sid Vicious. I was a huge Sid Vicious fan. Um, so anything with Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, whatever you want to call it, I was a huge fan. He's in my top 5 big man of all time. Pause. But see, this is really weird for me doing this top 5 because one, I was a youngster, right? And when you're the only person in the house that watches wrestling, it's very hard to get the TV. It's very hard to get control of the TV. So I didn't really get to none of these manias until they were like, I had a friend that had VHS tapes. Like his dad was like huge wrestling fan, and I just had to do it. Like WCW. I knew I could catch WCW easy, whatever. WWF. Sometimes I catch superstars right after cartoons. Other times it'd be on randomly, and I didn't know when I could get the TV. So I couldn't catch WWE, WWF at the time. Very not until they got into that back half of the Next Generation era. That's when I started to the early Raw is War stuff. So, but yeah, I agree that match card. If I could bring this up, that 8-man tag match, right? That is a lot of like, I don't know, like it's just a lot going on, and I get Hacksaw Jim Duggan was a big deal back then. I get it. I get it. Repo Man. This, you know what? This card was a. This was the mad scientist of characters in the mind of Vince McMahon, right? Like it's everybody is a freaking character, larger than life characters. Like we got characters today, but back then, characters were really characters. Like if
That was
he saw
wrestling
something
back then.
yeah, if he saw something in a comic book, he probably saw it in pro wrestling. And that's just the way that Vince McMahon did his thing. But the Intercontinental title match with Piper and Bret the Hitman Hart, one of the best matches storyline wise as well, because just because of the mind games that Bret was playing with Piper, knowing how dirty Piper was, and Piper was trying to fight his inner demons of not being dirty, and then all the gloves just came off, and we already know how that unfolded because it's actually one of my favorite matches to play on WWE 2K.
I thought it was match of the night at that WrestleMania, to be honest with you. And as you said, rewatching and replaying the WWE 2K game and that being one of the matches, it definitely made you go, damn. And for me, in those times, that was WWE, larger than life characters. So to me, it was easy to have that 8-man tag team match. It made sense. You had to get these guys on the card. Listen, not just Hacksaw Jim Duggan was a big deal, but Sergeant Slaughter was a big deal. Virgil came on the other side of being the $1 Million Man's lackey at that time. So he was being pushed correctly at that moment in time. Big Boss Man. It was just a lot of good things in this match. British Bulldogs versus the Berserkers. Tatanka versus Rick Martel, completely underrated. The Rocky, just such a great match card for me, in my opinion. I'm going to go again, if you don't mind, with number 4. Unless you got your number 4 ready.
Really?
Okay.
Keep it going.
Number 4 for me, I guess someone would say, well, why come it's not number 1? Why come it's not this or that? Well, as you spoke about, no one knew exactly what to expect from the first WrestleMania. So for me, WrestleMania 1 was that WrestleMania that I have to put 4. I mean, you're talking about without this right here, I'm not going this weekend. There is no this weekend. If this fails, WWE fails. You get it perfectly, in my opinion. You have Liberace shows up. You got people say, well, why is Muhammad Ali going to the Hall of Fame? I don't know. He's the fucking greatest of all time in the eyes of anybody who's ever known anything about sports, next to Michael Jordan, who's a bigger name than Muhammad Ali. I'll wait. I'm still waiting. There is no one. You got Cyndi Lauper at this point, who in the 80s was the biggest thing. And then the biggest guy in television, Mr. T, on this card, teams up with Hulk Hogan, taking on Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff with Cowboy Bob Orton in the corner. I mean, this is just a Big John Studd versus Andre the Giant at this moment was just a big deal. They put all his best wrestlers in there. He put everything on the cards in there. They threw all the chips in on this night, and it panned out. But as I do what I do and what we do here in Unpopular Review, please make sure at this point in the show, if you're still watching with us right now, you like, you followed, you subscribe, smash that notification button so when we go live, you know we are live. What up, Charmaine? You know you were always here live when we go live, so we thank you. As always, hearts right back at you yet again. Because
Hold on, I got a bone to pick with Charmaine. Charmaine. Charmaine, if you still watch, I got a bone to pick with you. And it's not a big bone. It could be, but... No, listen. Every show I watch, I see Charmaine in there, and Charmaine goes, "Oh, such and such, you're my favorite host." I'm like, "Oh, all right, tune into the next show." "Oh, such and such, you're my favorite host." I pop in the comments last night for the Raw show. She goes, "Hey Z, you're my favorite host." I'm like, "Wait, you just said that to Mike 4 hours ago on the Mike Knox show. You play with my heart like that, Charmaine. Everybody's your favorite." I get it, Charmaine. I'm trying to listen. I'm on your side. We're gonna get you that award at the end of the year. I'm on your side.
So for me, number 4, even though it's not the greatest card, as you've already explained about the different manias. Again, our job here is what we do. Here's what we do in the wrestling world. I've been on 4 different shows today alone. It's amazing how I started this thing off, and now everybody named Mama got a camera and a microphone and say, "Hey, let's go talk professional wrestling." But what did you do to make yourself sound better than the next person? I'm still waiting for that moment. So I got to dissect this thing. It wasn't the greatest card as you go back and you look. It's not one of them things you can watch again. Like you go back and you watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I can clearly watch Endgame and Avengers, all 4 of them over and over and over again. I'm not sure how many times I can watch, for me, in my personal taste, an Ant-Man over and over again. Once I've seen it, or Guardians of the Galaxy. To each, some people love those things. I'm speaking from myself purely, right? Everything to me doesn't have rewatchability, all right? So it make it even better for that, since everybody wanted that. That's a situation. I loved Aquaman, but I don't think I can watch it 7 times. First time, great. Wonder Woman, loved it. Cannot watch it 7 times. So that's how I look at WrestleMania 1. Great card, but am I going back and watching it when it comes to my favorite WrestleMania matches? No, I can't. But in this list of top 5 WrestleManias, it's number 1. It has to be in there somewhere. So for me, it's number 4, Dice. And we see Dan the Man backstage. We get you back on here in a second. Dice, what's your number 4?
Number 4. For me, number 4, I'm going with WrestleMania 9. WrestleMania 9. Reason why I love the match between Brett and Yokozuna. Up until that point, Zuna was a effing problem. We got the worst Undertaker match besides Undertaker versus Goldberg, but we wouldn't know that. Razor Ramon versus
Undertaker versus Mordecai. I'm just saying.
Nathan Jones. Oh God.
Exactly. So,
and everybody knows I'm a big Steiner Brothers fan. But for one of my top 5 favorite technical wrestlers, going against one of the darlings of professional wrestling at that time, and Mr. Perfect versus Lex Luger, one of my favorite matches. But this WrestleMania for me, it was all about that title picture, and this is a horrible back of a VHS box because they did not spell title right. That shit says tell.
You know what? I think somebody put that shit together. That is not the real box. Okay, and I gotta do my best executive consultant impression. I got to. That Mania sucked because that man came out there and stole Bret Hart's moment at the end. Okay, he does all this work and he comes in there and he steals his moment. But hey, Bobby the Brain Heenan told us all along he was a selfish rat. And so that's the way that it goes. I'm just teasing. That's your pick, but somebody got to act like we're the guy who's the executive consult. What do you call him? The executive contradictor. Dan the Man is joining us here from the AEW review show here on Unpopular Review, checking in his top 5.
Get your exclusive executive consultant shirts. If you hate like him, listen, get these shirts, $14.99, man. Get your executive consultant shirts. The front side says the executive consultant, I know it all. The back of it, we all know what he always do. Well, I thought I knew it all. I thought everybody's going to eat the chips. So $14.99, you can help out on Popular Review and the executive contradiction.
Yeah, Dan, go ahead. We've already gone through our number 5 and our number 4. Our number 5 was unanimous for him and I at picking WrestleMania 8. Number 4 for me was WrestleMania 1. Number 4 for him was WrestleMania 9. Where do you stand at, my guy?
You know, I'm going to have to go also with WrestleMania 9 here. I really am. And the reasoning behind that is because this was one of the more bold choices. I don't think the card was fantastic, but what it was is they tried something unique. They tried to do it Caesars outside, and aesthetically, it was very pleasing to look at. And even
it was a nice change.
it was.
Yeah.
And even when you I remember, I think it was 2K, they had the WrestleMania 9 arena, and I used to play in that thing all the time because I thought it was one of the coolest things. And I mean, the finish, listen, if we can go through 1 through 9, Hulk Hogan had his fingerprint on every single main event in WrestleMania 1 through 9. This man had no business being in the main event, and all of a sudden you're gonna tell me some rice gets thrown into the face, and Bret Hart, this man loses. Hulk Hogan comes out. Are you okay, brother? Are you okay? And then, oh, lo and behold, Bret Hart just says, "Go back in there and finish this thing." Like, apparently, Bret Hart was the general manager of WWE, and here we go. Hulk Hogan wins it. I mean, it sent the crowd home happy. It was a decent WrestleMania, and it was what really inevitably set forth to the decade of WrestleMania, and what led to 10, which was one of the better WrestleManias of all time. So I know we're only doing 1 through 9, but this was the next wave. Number 9 was more of the modern.
I can see that.
Going to take a quick commercial break right here, and I mean a quick commercial break. We come back, we're going to dissect the WrestleMania top 5s, the top 3 of our choices. We'll be right back, y'all.
We got Mercedes for the second week, and does she feel any more of a CEO to you? What is she the CEO of, Chris?
She's a woman that's entitled to make her own decisions. That's why she's the CEO.
Okay, she's empowered. What is she the CEO of, though?
Her life.
Well, I would hope so. Everybody's a boss of their own life, but what is she running? What is she running? A brothel? A faction? What is she running?
CEO.
Are you in an earthquake? Why is your camera shaking when you do that? Why can't anyone answer me that question? What is she the CEO of?
The song answered the question for you.
You can't even answer me straight. Like at least, you know what I know about her? She runs a business. So she's the CEO. I get that.
So she's the CEO.
She's the CEO of cannabis. Okay, great. What is she the CEO of AEW?
CEO.
I didn't know Florida so many earthquakes back to back.
And we are back.
You definitely got to start checking them commercials.
From the earthquakes and the audio clips and whatever else falls in line with that. We are here, guys. We are back on Pop Review Wrestling as we go down this road to WrestleMania here on Pop Review Entertainment. Make sure you check out this network all week long. Pass the baton. Tell somebody to tell somebody. We are everywhere. We're going to be at HOG for your independent wrestling fans. We're going to be at NXT for our NXT crew. We're going to be at night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania. We're going to be at Wale Mania. We're going to be at the Busted Open Radio's tailgating party. You name it, someone from this crew will be there. So you should be tuned in for that footage. Get in, locked in, and check in with us, including all the Cody fucking crybabies will be there too. Oh shit, we got one down here. My bad, Dan.
We do.
It's okay. They even got the shirt now. Finish the story, right? He bled last week. Now he's bleeding. I tell you one thing to be true about WWE, they know how to sell merchandise. I'll tell you that much. Number 3, Dice, I'm going to continue this thing off and just go ahead and go for me. If you don't know by now, welcome to the program. I am Mike Knox, and forever and a day, I will never change my opinion about one of the best matches in WrestleMania history to me happened at WrestleMania 3. And not to the fact that match made it in this list to be WrestleMania 3 on my top 3. You're talking about where the landscape of professional wrestling changed. Okay, people? Yes, I can love Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat all I want to. You can look at this card and go, I don't know. But I had two of my favorite tag teams of all time going against each other, and that's the British Bulldogs taking on the Hart Foundation. And then you also had, bar none to me, again, whether I like him or don't like him, indifferent on him and his opinion and how he's came along in his life, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, arguably is the biggest moment still in professional wrestling. It is what tipped the scales of balance in professional wrestling, where everyone tuned in. At this point in life, only Mike Tyson was getting certain kind of numbers in closed circuit television. Yeah, I'm that old that it wasn't called pay-per-view. It was called closed circuit TV, okay, which basically was pay-per-view, but you had to go somewhere to watch it. You couldn't watch it at home. Pay-per-view became the first time you were able to actually watch it at home. Closed circuit was you had to go to a movie theater. You had to go to somewhere where the event was being put on, and people were still paying hundreds of dollars to go watch this thing. But WrestleMania 3 for me, again, the greatest WrestleMania match. I can't still say the greatest. I got to pause on that part, okay? But it's still my favorite, one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. To this day, I still think matches cannot compete with the speed of Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So for me, number 3, for all those reasons why, Andre Hogan, Bulldog. And then, first of all, them coming out in the Pontiac Silverdome, to this day I get mad when they have these big-ass stadiums and these motherfuckers be running down the ring. Can't y'all get them that damn lift y'all had at WrestleMania 3 and bring that back so they ain't got to get so tired? Ultimate Warrior was the only idiot that ran that damn whole entire thing, got in the ring. Y'all want to pick on The Rock for huffing and puffing and blowing somebody's house down a few weeks ago? No, go back and watch WrestleMania 3. The Ultimate Warrior was about to die.
as I'm going back and watching all the manias, and I'm about to wind down. Hopefully, if I timed it right, I will end 40. I will end 39 by the time 40 is ready to air. If I timed it right. Watching John Cena and Nikki Bella run to the ring.
Oh God!
They made Nikki Bella go at least 60 yards up the ramp because it wasn't no way that she was gonna run that whole thing. And John just comes out and they zoom out. And first of all, why the hell do they make those ramps so damn high? I would hate to be the people that sits
behind them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Those I feel sorry if you picked a spot. I don't care if you went to Mania, you picked a spot to be there. And
don't you feel sorry for them idiots? They know where the hell they're sitting.
They do.
The wrestlers are 30 feet above them, standing there looking at them. How are you watching the match? Because now you got to cock your head back. Maybe you can see a Titantron, maybe not. But I guess it's the atmosphere.
And they pay the most. And they pay the most.
But no, they had a zoom shot out of Cena running to the ring. A dope shot, right? But as you look at it in hindsight, it's like, damn, that shit is long. And JBL goes, that's 85 yards. I'm like, shit.
That's what Diddy said. I was at that WrestleMania, by the way, when that happened. So here in Orlando, that's what actually got me moving to Orlando. Was that? What's your number 3, Dice?
Number 3. Oh yeah, that was the one because I didn't know where it was and I thought the stage was crazy on it. Number 3. That's when
I peed on the dude coming out because Jeff Hardy them came out. Sorry, Hugo, if you're watching. You know, I left him because he was so damn drunk. When it was over, I left his ass in his seat. I guess I thought a good friend, right? Chris told a story about the day how his boy was drunk. He had to wait till the match was over. My boy was drunk. No, I left him. Find your way home. You're embarrassing. Go ahead.
Number three for me. Coincidentally, what you just spoke about, that did not make my list. And I know that it's one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history. However, I wasn't there. I was a little kid. I don't know the impact.
Damn, Elvis alive. I thought Elvis died. I'm sorry.
Oh wow,
Elvis is in the building.
Wow. I'm going with.
I'm sorry. What? Get this shit off my screen. Did you just say WrestleMania 3 was a snooze fest?
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay. I was reading what he said. Okay, I got off the bobbly then, Mama. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, he said that. No. But for me, this was what we talked about at the beginning of the show, the crossover moment. You spoke about it earlier. I feel like if this was, I mean, this is up there with one for me, but one is not on this list for me because of just the times of television. I can't get excited about that. Like I don't know. I don't see how I Love Lucy is funny to people, right? And if I'm watching it in black and white, I know Lucy's funny, right? But I don't see how it's funny in black and white if I'm watching it today.
So the Three Stooges can't be funny because they're in black and white?
Yeah, Three Stooges is funny. I mean, Three Stooges is
but
funny.
They're in black and white.
I like. It's the way it's presented to me. Mira, it's the way they present it to me. That's all.
Did you just meet us?
Mira. It's just the way it was presented to me. I mean, being an 18 fan, you seeing Mr. T on there, I pity the fool. Like I just felt like that grabbed me a little bit more than seeing Hogan slam the Giant, but also the fact that I didn't know about Hogan, how important Hogan was, or how popular he was then, because I was a baby, right? So I can't really go along with that story so much. So that's why it really doesn't make my top 5, but it's an honorable mention just for the fact of what it's done for professional wrestling. But that's my number 3.
All right, number 3 for you, Dan the Man.
All right, so this is kind of tough because I kind of struggled between WrestleMania 3. It is in my top 5. I did not make in here for number 5, but WrestleMania 3 for me, because of that Hogan slam, really kind of set a new precedent for wrestling. It was the body slam heard around the world. You had the largest athlete at the time and one of the biggest men ever, and Hulk Hogan was this larger than life character and was able to pick up and slam Andre the Giant. That is unfathomable. We still talk about it to this day in 2024. That is how crazy that move and moment was, that we're still talking about it to this day. Now, from a top to bottom card, no, it wasn't there.
Well, your shoes
it was a decent card. It does belong in the top 5. That is probably my number 5, but my number 3 is going to be WrestleMania 5. And the reason for WrestleMania 5. Reason for WrestleMania 5 is you had a historic main event for the time, and Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. This was
call him Randy Moss.
I was getting close. It was a year in the making. This is when wrestling actually really was doing serious long-term storytelling. And Randy Savage was at the top of his game. He was really kind of just, newer, breaking in on the scene. Hulk Hogan was established, and they were the mega powers until they weren't. This was the equivalent of having The Rock and Stone Cold fight each other. This was the big match for the time and of the decade, and this made the whole card what it was. And for me, this was also what launched what kind of was having pro wrestling in the major spotlight for a very long time, was being able to tell the story of this match and blur the lines and have Miss Elizabeth there, who was in a relationship with Macho Man, but she was also kind of loyal to Hulk Hogan. So you really had this, is this real? Is this fake? What's going on here? And to me, that's why that is my number 3.
Well, again, as I gotta dig in deep, pause, no diddy, on my inner executive consultant, Dan, that's a great pick. To be that low, though, I have to give you a pause in reference to that. And for someone who lived it, loved it to this day, it's my number 2. It's why I truly, truly, truly hate that man Hogan. It wasn't the racist stuff, because I always say offline, behind lines, and then I'm gonna say it here on air, what that man said in the privacy of his own bedroom, he had a right to say. I just want an apology, okay? Because it came out. All right. Now, with that being put aside, this was the biggest thing. This was the build off of WrestleMania 3. You couldn't have WrestleMania 4 to give us this, because it had to explode. But they were not the equivalent, however, to Rock and Hogan at all, or Rock and Austin. Not even close. I'm gonna tell you why. Right? Because at some point, Rock and Austin were both big faces. Macho Man never actually got to that level because of the jealousy of one Hulk Hogan and the storyline. But everything else you said, 100% agree with you. That's why it's my number 2. Like the impact. You talk about and I said this earlier in the show, we're talking about top WrestleManias of all time, right? You got Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude, right? You got Demolition versus Powers of Pain. Jake the Snake took on Andre the Giant. Brutus Beefcake and Ted DiBiase. You know, to me, the match that was really the best match of this night was Mr. Perfect versus the Blue Blazer, a.k.a. Owen Hart, okay? Inside our squared ring side of things. You have Run DMC at this WrestleMania, right?
Yep.
It's in Atlantic City. Right at that time, they did Trump Palace,
Trump Plaza,
mm-hmm. like 3 straight years in a row, right? Or 4 straight years in a row. It was like from WrestleMania 4, 5, 6, and I think 7 was there also. If I'm mistaken, that's 5. But I know 3, 4, and 5 were in Trump Plaza, right? Because I remember at WrestleMania 5, at this WrestleMania, I lied to all my friends at Park Lane Elementary School and told them I was at WrestleMania because technically I was. I just wasn't in the building. Right, my mom, them. If you know, back in that time, you went to
gambling.
You went to they were gambling. And they had a thing called Lucky Limo, right? Lucky Limo was the thing where they would come pick up old people to go gamble, and you would pay money to go to Atlantic City. It's like, you know, when you go to New York to go shopping, they would pick you up to go gamble. They'd take you home. I happened to go. They happened to be remember that vignettes they had where they're on the boardwalk and they're like pulling them in like the trades and things. I witnessed all of that. Right, but this Mania in so many ways speaks volumes to be number 2 because they did explode. Saturday Night Main Events where everything leading up to this WrestleMania was amazing. And yes, for me, the emotion of this match makes this WrestleMania this damn important. The mega powers exploding. I mean, like you said, Dan, you didn't know if it was real, if it wasn't real. Right? And why is she being loyal to Hulk Hogan? But I love the greatest line ever in this entire storyline is, you got lust in your eyes, Hogan. You got lust in your eyes for Elizabeth. I absolutely loved it. And it was the first heel I ever fell in love with was the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Zia Silent, you're number 2.
All right, so I'm going to double dip the chip right now because that actually is my number 1. WrestleMania 5 is my number 1. I don't think that there's very few friends turn bitter enemies stories in professional wrestling that are greater than the mega powers exploding. It's used in pop culture references, right? Like
hold on this side. Bring it in. Bring it on the hand. On the hand.
I should have put mirrored on. But no, it's one of those things. It's just like the terminology, the mega powers, right? Like it just kept going on, and even being young, like what are the mega powers? You know, we had 10, 10, 3, 2, 1. I think that was the thing you can call, and they'll tell you whatever you want to know. This was Google before Google, right? Hey, what are mega powers? And you would call people on an operator, and they would pretty much Google what you want to know, and then tell you. But then they charge you like 10 cents a minute, you know, whatever.
Let me put a nickel in there for 1 second, Dice. If you paid attention, Elvis, to what we do here and show up on time, you would know we are going 1 through 9. We went 10 through 19. We ran it down. So you can feel free, since you're here, go back and watch those. Don't like it? Go ahead and listen anyway. Go ahead, Z.
So I'm gonna go ahead and jump to my actual number 2 because it didn't make no sense to, you know, while y'all was talking about the mega powers, I might as well just go ahead and talk about it too and where it ranks. Number 2 for me, WrestleMania 6. What?
Snuka? I have never in the 6 years you have been able to do shows with me, right? And before doing shows with me, a little quick story how we met. He listened to my podcast. His cousin was playing a video game. I was playing a video game with his cousin. And then me and his cousin don't even fuck with each other like that no more. Me and him are now brothers, right? So that is the dumbest thing. Not one of you got D's and everything, okay? That is my number 1. This right here, champion versus champion, is number 1, not 2, not 3. This was the biggest match in the first 9 years of wrestling. This match is even bigger than Andre the Giant being slain by Hulk Hogan. All that had a bigger significance. I watch it every year.
So let's get into
my
it.
favorite. So
that's as big as the storyline for the mega powers. That's on that. That's past that for you.
Yeah. I'm sorry. One more time. I was typing. Yeah, my
The
money was
mega
involved. Go
powers.
ahead.
The mega powers.
Yeah, exploding. It's number
Exploding.
2. Right, because here it is. It's like
Okay, so
and
we,
again,
we got a split swap, but the way
Yeah,
that you
that-
just
that's
tried
a
to go
swap.
to your
Listen,
soliloquy,
I told you I
you
was.
literally just tried to shame me.
I told you somebody had to be executive consultant asshole around here today. That's all. There it is.
Get your shirt today, $14.99.
First of all, Dan's face in the middle is the funniest part of the whole goddamn picture right there.
$14.99. You can show your
$14.99 with
support
Dan.
and-
Hold on, you might get Dan. We might get you a sticker of Dan laughing like that. Oh, good face, good face. But yeah, no. I just think for the significance of versus your significance, that 6 was more important than the mega power. The mega powers at that point was definitely bigger, right? But when you're looking at something, and you got to think about this, no one was beating Hogan. No one had beat Hogan. He was dominant the way you see Lesnar today and all these guys in your greatest Cena era. No one had ever run a streak like Hogan did. Mania after mania after mania after mania. So for an Ultimate Warrior to beat him and win both titles, the press conferences, but you had President Jack Tunning at that time. It was just so much bigger to me. And again, this is one of them things where I'm calling old head over you. Right? I'm not going to quit. Like, if you tell me, yo, such and such rapper is dope, so let you tell me Sexy Red's a dope artist, I'm going to tell you, you're crazy. Right? But if you give me somebody significant, I'm going to go, okay, I'll listen to it. But no, as an old head on this program, not as old as Jeff old ass, right? Jeff is pushing 60. All right. I'm only pushing 50. All right. So he got me beat. Pause.
I
No
push
Diddy.
age like white.
You know what I mean? But I just think for the significance of them, that this match beats this match for WrestleMania and the WrestleMania in itself because of those two said matches. So we gave ours, Dan, because we always fuck up shit around here. What's your number 2 and number 1?
Oh man. Okay. So I struggled between 2 and 1, and you make super compelling arguments, but my number 2 is going to be number 6, and it's the reason it's number 6. I'm sorry. Is the reason number 6 is my number 2 is because, as you said, Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan. This was by far the biggest match of the decade. There is nothing I can think of that's bigger. The build to this was huge. You had the Intercontinental Champion.
Nothing bigger
I mean, it's
in a decade.
I'm thinking this was the biggest match of the decade.
What? Macho versus Hogan?
No.
Oh,
Hogan and Warrior.
And that was by far it was the biggest match of the decade. I
think that was the
100%
biggest
agree
match
with
of
you. Yes.
I think that was by far the biggest match of the decade. Ultimate Warrior was at an all-time high. This was truly the start of what the Yes movement was and Kofi Mania. This was the prime example of what this was, because the Ultimate Warrior caught so much fire at the right time, and Hulk Hogan was this huge baby face. And I don't remember. I don't even know that Hulk Hogan lost a match in 5 years at that point.
He did, but you got to think also, Warrior was also a huge baby. It was the first time
Correct.
that you're saying baby face versus baby. You got the baby
Right.
face everybody loved and has been there versus the upstart baby face that everybody
Right.
was starting to love more with the Warriors. Go ahead.
Correct. And it was such a historic main event. No one knew how to react, and it was cheering on both ends. It literally was the babyface. And then when Warrior was able to get the pin, it was such shock all throughout that arena. No one believed it, but everyone was still happy that it had happened. And I'm sure Hogan cried about it and was pissed about it, as he had to get his little kick out at the last count of 3. But this was the most historic. And the card, I mean, if you go down that card, the card was actually pretty solid. I mean, you had Rick Rude, Jimmy Snuka, you had the $1 Million Man DiBiase against Jake the Snake. Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty and Macho Man should get some credit in that, because that was the whole big Sapphire thing,
Yes.
the polka dot thing. That was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. And I mean, you had some Roddy Piper in there. You had the Hart Foundation. It was a star-studded, event, and that's why I think it is my number 2. Now, my number 1, the card was very solid. and we're going to go with number 7 is my number 1.
Ooh, okay.
And the reason we're going to go with number 7 is my 1, you did have a very solid card. You had the Nasty Boys against the Hart Foundation. You had Jake Roberts against Rick Martel in a blindfold match. You had The Undertaker against Jimmy Snuka. You had a retirement match of the Ultimate Warrior against Randy Savage. Big Boss Man against Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental title. Really, it was a stacked card. And then this was also at a time when the world was on edge. This was the, we were only, maybe 6 months in Operation Desert Storm. Mm-hmm. And they play, and this was when Sergeant Slaughter was the turncoat. He turned against the United States. No one ever saw this coming. They actually played on a real life situation, probably a little too hard. Mm-hmm. Sergeant Slaughter was hated. This man was getting death threats. He played the role perfectly to a T. And he was aligning himself completely with Iraq. And I thought it was bold. I would have never gone with this, but they really put it to a place where you're kind of crossing the line and blurring reality versus what's, a story. And for them to be able to do this at a time like this and have the real, the all-American kind of guy and Hulk Hogan come out and be able to fight for America, I thought it was something that the country needed at the time.
That theme song at this Mania just went good. I am a real American. Like, people got to understand, like, the black hate he gets is because we want an apology. But can't no wrestling fan, and I just think you're deaf, blind, dumb, and prejudiced if you don't recognize Hulk Hogan's contribution to the world of professional wrestling, how it is. I don't care what federation it is you're watching. Yep. Like, you're, and as I went through my list, I debated this if I had, and I didn't have an honorable mention. This was definitely there for, honestly, a lot of things you said there, Dan. It's just this real thing. This is when, to me, Vince was hitting on all cylinders. Let's take real life, put it into storyline, right? Make these characters, you're going to hate them, and you're going to love them because I'm going to make you hate them. And I just think that I think that's a perfect pick, honestly, for your number 1. Not for me, but I get why you have it there. So many good things. First of all, Power and Glory doesn't get no respect to me. Okay, no. Slick gets no respect to me. Okay, Greg Valentine gets no respect from me. And I mean from me, meaning I don't think people give these guys the respect they deserve. It's kind of like Dice said early in the program. He don't remember these guys, so he can't be there. But we got to be historians at this point in time. Like, we can go back and watch the last 15 WrestleManias. We can go back and watch 7. It's all on the WWE Network, Peacock, wherever the hell they put them at. And go watch your history. Learn your history of wrestling. And know where you couldn't go today without these guys being there yesterday. Great pick, Dan. Your final thoughts on your pick, and I'm going to
I never said that I don't do my history. I
didn't say you did. I didn't say. That's not what I said. You misunderstood. That's not what I'm.
But as everybody knows, my favorite phrase to say: these old MFers got to be surpassed, and it's okay. It's okay.
No, it's not. Everybody old doesn't even get surpassed. They should never surpass the Avengers, the 23 movies of Marvel. That's never going to be surpassed. Everything old does not to become new because
in 20 years they're just going to remake the Avengers because by then they're going to make
everything old cannot be replaced. Some things are legendary for a reason. Some things are historic for a reason. No matter how much people today want to say, "Oh, that's not a number icon, that's a hashtag." No, motherfucker, it's a goddamn number hash. It's a number thing. Okay, Rocky Balboa, like him or don't like him, will forever be one of the greatest sports movies of all time because it's fucking Rocky. Everything old doesn't need to get replaced, okay? Because things are made better, don't mean it has to be overshadowed or forgotten about or surpassed or whatever versions of version ones we need to have.
Right, but how many Batmans do we need? How many Spider-Mans?
38.
Do we need? I mean, come on.
You gotta be surpassed, dude. You gotta be surpassed.
All 38. All 38 Batmans. All 38 Spider-Mans.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what I mean? Because listen, as you brought that up, we're going to get up out of here, right? I like them all. I like the Toby series. I like the Garfield series. I like the Tom Holland series. You know what I mean? They're all different in their own way, and they give you different spins on them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I, it's just one of the things I think. As long as as we get smarter in this world, that's what we are today. We're way more intelligent than we were 25 years ago, 10 years ago, right? IP. As long as there's an IP,
these new gym people,
they're going to keep making fucking everything over and done again, huh?
I don't know about that. These new gym people are stupid.
We're smart marks.
I'm from the greatest generation of all time, Generation X. So that's just what it is. After the baby boomers, and before these idiots today. You know what I'm saying? And you're like in my wife's, you're like in that middle, you're in that middle phase.
We got the best of both worlds.
I think we're better because what you were born in, I was a kid in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and where you were a kid in the 90s, I was a teenager in that era. You feel what I'm saying? So I got to see everything. When you can go watch
the time change.
But yeah, right, when you see the Challenger explode on TV, that's a big fucking deal. You know what I'm saying? Now this queen, no offense, and the God rest the queen, I just did a show over there in the UK. I never thought that old lady was gonna get old and die. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was old when I was a kid. You know?
yeah. Like Bob Barker.
Yeah. So
my whole life, Bob Barker been old.
Yeah. So. Guys, I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. I want to thank the audience, most importantly, for continuing to check in with us here on Unpop Review. Again, as my man Dice would say, we're not asking you guys to go ahead and give us a free lunch here. I mean, but put some money in the collection plate. We'll come up with that later. Pay us later. But right now, we're free. We're asking for a like, a follow, a subscribe. And tell my crew, because every show I do, I got to make sure I bring them up. If y'all don't start following, and subscribing, I'm going to smack you too. Lay the smack it down on your candy asses. With that being said, hey, Dice, go ahead and plug these shows because we got a show coming up tonight as we go around this road to WrestleMania as well, my friend.
All righty. We'll start with tonight. Tonight we got the NXT results and review. Tomorrow, Dynamite, Dan the Man, Vinny. Then skip on Friday. Catch it on Saturday, but maybe you'll see me on Friday. Let's see how the night goes. Saturday, we're having no collision, but it's usually collision. Monday, check out the Mike Knox show. It's going to be the post-WrestleMania review show, and then the Monday Night Raw review show.
Well, actually, remember, they're being combined this 1 week as I'm coming back that Monday, so I will be on the Raw show. That would be the prediction show. It'd be that SmackDown. It'd be the post Raw or Raw after Mania, WrestleMania review show. All hands on deck.
I am doing. You know what? Friday night. Soon as that fire ass show.
I'm gonna say, because remember, Vic's not going to be there. So if you want to do Saturday afternoon, that's actually a perfect time to keep it the same time because Vic's home now. So you can actually pull that Saturday off if you want to. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't want to overdo it because ain't nobody work. The Stand and Deliver is going to be on Saturday, so I don't.
At 12. Good point.
Yeah, so I'm gonna check with Vic. We're probably going to do SmackDown Penitentiary immediately.
Welcome to the SmackDown Penitentiary.
I like the way you caught my cue. I like the way you caught my cue. You'll catch the SmackDown Penitentiary immediately after SmackDown. And when I have to do shows immediately after something late night, you're getting 50 minutes of Fury in, out, OG's Classic.
Some of y'all should be good with getting in and out. Y'all know sometimes just give it a tick. It's good enough, y'all. Listen, I am Mike Knox. That is the Z and Sound. That is Dan the Man. Come back tonight, NXT. Come back tomorrow, AEW. Because listen, let's keep it a bean. It may be WrestleMania week, but when WrestleMania season is here, every federation shows up because they got to show out.
Yeah, it's on deck.
So we are out of here, y'all. We will see y'all next week. Thanks for watching Top 5. We out of here, y'all. Fingers.